And as I said, I don't think that any average trans person is interested in any of this, even outside of sports. Like, I'm gonna say something controversial here, but like, I think a lot of progressive white women get behind these social justice causes. And I think that in the case of the trans community, they've done them a huge disservice because they have made this a topic that people are either like really exercised over because they're scared or because they're assholes. It doesn't matter. I don't think that this is a matter of trans people having done anything. I do blame trans women who try to put themselves into sports and dangerous situations. And I think I think there should be criticism there. But I agree with you that this is not a matter of the trans community having done anything to this individual who was badly injured by this person. I think the Olympic committee that allowed this person to compete made a huge fucking.
You're totally right. The thing is that if you're talking about the trans community, like, it will not solve on this happening again. So if the solution would be to do some checks on chromosome or whatever, that should be the result. Not to say, okay, we should ban trans people, which is true. Like, not ban. Maybe you need to do like another. Like, you have female, you have male. Maybe you need to have another one, a third one for trans. Like, you have the Special Olympics or whatever. I'm just saying that focusing on trans is kind of missing the point of this case. That is my point. This is like a different case, and bundling it onto trans doesn't solve this from happening again.
No, I agree, but Daniel, if you remember the way that this conversation happened, I immediately and specifically removed it from the trans conversation, and you're the one that brought it back. I get why you did. I just want to make that clear that for what happened in this. It's not a great situation for any of the people involved in this. It's not.
Well, Ryan,
nearly killed me day one.
Kelly, I didn't disagree with anything you said, and I don't think it's controversial. I think you're 100% right. The Karens created this. Good morning, El Normo.
I'll never forget the Croatian war.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Tomislav Kasumovic, who nearly
You're
killed me.
here. I must be doing something right.
You are.
Norman, let me ask you a question. You think Israel opens up a second front?
Yeah, they're sort of wrapping up Gaza. Israel's certainly signaling that we're ready to face Hezbollah. You know, there's about 100,000 Israelis displaced from the north, and that's not sustainable. So Hezbollah is either going to stop shooting the rockets, or Israel's going to have to stop them. I don't see what the choice is, to be honest.
Well, what does the second front look like? Do they go into Lebanon?
Well, it doesn't seem as though an air campaign would be sufficient. That's where Israel holds the superiority. I don't know at which point they have to do a ground invasion. They're certainly giving the guys from Gaza a rest, and they're prepared for that possibility. Nobody's looking forward to that because it's going to be a lot of loss of life. God forbid.
But if they have to go into Lebanon, is that going to trigger Iran to get directly involved?
I think if Iran gets directly involved, then, like Hamas, they realize that this is the end of the road. I believe the reason why this happened with Hamas was because Hamas realized there's very little further purpose for them in Gaza as the Abraham Accords approach. I think the Abraham Accords are the trigger for all of this. Iran and its proxies realizing that once that deal is completed and spreads, they're defeated. Iran is defeated because they're going to be overwhelmed by the unity of the region and the world against their terror, against Iranian terror.
Well, no, I've been calling for the longest time. Deal with Iran and you then you could start having a conversation about having some kind of peace in the Middle East. But dealing with Iran, I don't know what that looks like. Is that regime change? What does that look like? I mean, listen, what Israel did to kill the Hamas leader, that bomb was in that room for a couple of months. But
Amazing, right?
Unbelievable. But they have the capability of taking out that regime. Is that what it's going to take?
I think that is the message, that Iran either calms down and cools its jets, or the leaders are going to be making trips to heaven.
Well, at least
I think that was the message.
But at least they'll get their virgins.
Yes, of whatever gender they prefer. And now we're going to see how brave they are if this is what they want. I mean, it's funny that this happens at precisely this time, because I've been reading a tremendous book by Ronan Bergen called Rise Up and Kill First, which is, actually I've been listening to it on Audible, and that is the Torah admonition that if somebody is pointing a gun at you, it is your obligation to rise up and prevent them from pulling the trigger. And Israel's willing to do that. And the quality of the intelligence is just shockingly good. And I think now, there's like a Mexican standoff. Do these mullahs want to die for their cause? Instead of just sending, these poor individuals, whether it's the Palestinians or the Hezbollah militias, rather than sending them to their death. Now they have an existential question to answer. Are they willing to die over this? And I have a feeling that answer may be a little different,
Absolutely. Let me say good morning to Good.
You know what's interesting? People say that, we could reduce wars. Instead of having the people fight the wars, why don't we have the leaders fight them? It might be a very different scenario. Let's have Biden in a punch out with, Ishmael Haniyeh. Then the two of them, they might say, well, let's play chess or something instead of killing each other.
Speaking of Biden, Normo, I just read that Kamala Harris, however you people want to pronounce the name, has raised $310 million just in July. $310 million, Norm. So, no shot. And listen, politics is all about the money. Follow the money, and she has every shot.
I mean, you have to remember a lot of that is money that was
bananas
pulled from Biden and then just given right back to her. So she has raised a lot of money, but the numbers are somewhat skewed because of that.
Well, Kelly,
honest about it. And I'm not saying that you're not being. I'm just saying that it's.
I want to ask you a question, Kelly. Do you honestly think she has a good chance or a fair chance?
I mean, I think God, either of them do at this point. It's a matter of what happens moving forward. I mean, she did a really poor job. Like, she's not great at maintaining momentum because she's messageless generally. Like, you can look back at her primary campaign; it kind of fell flat. Now, if she can change that, I think she does. But if she can get rid of her weird laugh and her atrocious public speaking issues, which seems like she has to some degree, but she's still clowning herself on occasion. If she can work on that, I think she has an even better chance. But like, she's to some degree, she's a known quantity, but what's known isn't really liked. But she also is unknown in many ways. So I think that her chance is a matter of what she does with that unknown part of who she is.
Okay, listen, you thank you. You've had enough space with me to know that there's just certain things that just really fuck me up. And one of the things that fuck me up is when people bring up she's not black. Man, that's bullshit. Who cares what she is? Who cares if she's purple with pink polka dots? Why do we as a country focus on such bullshit? It just blows my mind.
I agree with you, Jay. Honestly, though, I think a lot of times the reason people bring that up is because she is so focused on it, and so I think people point out the inconsistency of her identity campaigns and how her identity politics. I mean, for lack of a better way to put it, I don't think she's doing a great job. How do I put this? I don't think that she is being herself, and I think that that's always been the biggest problem with her. I think it was her problem with her primary. I don't know. It's like she's trying to accommodate like a. I don't want to say an identity because it's too on the nose, but she's trying to be a thing. And I think if she would just be Kamala, whoever the fuck that is, she would come across in a much more natural way. So I think that alone brings like her awkwardness, like I don't know, in an interesting way, brings her identity to question because she doesn't seem to be comfortable in whatever thing she's wearing. And then if you look through her political history, she has leaned in so hard to both sides, but not really at the same time. And so it seems a matter of convenience. And I think a lot of people feel the same way you do, that the identity piece of it isn't so important, but she prioritizes it and puts it like up in the very front often. And so I think that's the point that they're making. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it should matter, but I don't know, when people seem to want to get credit for their identity, but then turn around and say it doesn't matter. At least a sour taste in some people.
Well, to piggyback off what you're saying, I think it was a great share. In my opinion, I think all politicians are chameleons, right? Whichever way the wind blows, that's who they're gonna be. If they have a chance to win, they're gonna be that. And I think that's what resonates with the trumpets, with the Trump supporters. He doesn't. Who you see is who he is. What he says is what he believes. I think that's why the trumpets love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think they'll tell you that. Yeah.
What's up, Samma? Oh, he's back on the phone. So, Norm, I'm going to mod you because you swiped out, and I know you were modded. Just let everybody get in when we get on a conversation that everybody wants to talk about.
Yeah.
And Norm, as often as you're on this app, haven't you learned not to swipe out by now?
It's sort of the way you grab the phone sometimes. It just happens,
Pro tip, when you swipe out, just close the app. Don't swipe back and you won't lose any, you won't lose, if you're a mod, you won't lose being on the stage. Just close the app immediately instead of swiping anywhere.
Okay, I'll try that. Even if it takes me to another room, which is what happens?
Yep, as long as you don't try to come backwards. Just immediately shut the app.
Okay.
So Normie, I hear that Ms. Harris is going to announce her VP pick over the weekend, and they're going to start campaigning next week together, whoever that might be. Who do you think she's going to take?
Well, I heard Mark Kelly make a very impassioned pitch for her last night. That's the astronaut in Arizona. And she needs Arizona badly. And I think she might get clobbered in Arizona anyway. So it's between these two swing states, Arizona and Pennsylvania. It has more electoral votes, and the governor is Jewish. So she might pick
She can't pick a Jew, Norm.
She can.
She can, and then she's going to walk into the lion's den because America's not ready for a minority woman and a Jew on the same thing.
And remember, she's married to a Jewish guy. And she's got Jewish stepkids.
Who denounced the Judaism.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, the father didn't, but the kid did. You're right. I guess they're half Jewish in a sense. Paternal, patriot. Anyway, it's kind of silly. That's correct. And I wonder what Josh Shapiro will do. Well, Josh, Blinken is Jewish, and he might take the Democratic kumbaya, two-state solution, let's make peace position while supporting Israel's right to defend itself. That's a fallback position. That's kind of the Biden administration's position. It's certainly not.
You know what surprised me, Norman? Was that Putin released these prisoners, hostages, and he didn't wait to see how the election played out. Because you would think he'd want to do a favor for his buddy Trump and have them released under his president.
I wonder if someday we'll get a book, Trump and Putin, and what was going on that stage in Helsinki when Trump was acting so oddly and refusing to confront Putin in person. You know what I'm referring to?
No, but please tell me.
So, I don't know, about 2 years into the presidency or less, there was a summit in Helsinki. Trump was on stage with Putin. Sure, there's video of it. And he was weirdly catatonic. He was uncharacteristic. And it seemed as if Putin had something on him. And I don't know what it was. Whether it was, some investments or some compromise, some blackmail. I just don't know, but Trump was like catatonic. And everybody said, even people who were inclined to attempt to be objective about this said he behaved oddly on the stage. Most people who were in business, I would say, favored Trump in 2016 because they knew he'd cut taxes. It's funny, sometimes it just comes down to, will their policies favor my business? And I guess from their perspective, that's a legitimate position. So anybody who wanted taxes reduced and increased belligerence militarily, internationally, they liked Trump. Even if they, didn't trust him or didn't think that he was reliable. That was 2016. 2020, you didn't really hear from people because we had 4 years of madness. And now in 2024, people, I think, are not being very vocal, at least in my circles. I'm more in the media, Jewish circles. I'm not so much in the Midwest or Southern. Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. And let me say, good morning, Andre.
Hey, good morning.
I'm doing well, thank you. So Norm, Trump has come out and said that he will end the Ukrainian war in 48 hours. Is he just talking bullshit like usual? Or do you think he has?
Well, that might be the deal that he and Putin are holding in their back pocket. I don't know. The same way, Richard Nixon delayed the end of the Vietnam War so that he could defeat the Democratic candidate. It might have been 72, if I'm not mistaken. Kissinger literally made a deal to not end the war until Nixon was elected, and it worked. And Reagan did the same thing, as far as I know, in 79 with the hostages in Iran. We had like a year and a half of hostage crisis, quote unquote.
Well,
that was.
Let me. I want to ask Andre a question, if that's okay.
Yeah, he knows about this stuff.
Andre, how does this Ukrainian war end? How do you see it ending?
How I would like it to end, or
no, let's be realistic. But how do you see it ending? I see it ending where Russia keeps all the land they took so far, and they move on.
I don't think that will be acceptable. I don't think the Ukraine will stop. They might be okay with losing Crimea, but not the eastern portions of Ukraine. If we're talking about being pragmatic about it and stuff. But yeah.
Hello, Mazel Tov, Adoni.
What's up, Adele?
What's up, Jay? By the way, I did not need to delete my Clubhouse account because I think I proved you wrong.
Oh yeah, how so? Well, by the way, Adele, you won't be the first or last person to prove me wrong.
When I told you that Elon Musk did not donate any 45 million to Donald Trump, and with this bullshit news that says that he promotes or he promises to give. That's not the same thing. To give me 45 and to promise me to give me 45 million is not the same.
Okay, thank you for that lesson. But what I had said was he made a vow for 45 million for 4 months. Now, if he backed out of that vow, that's on him.
Absolutely not, my friend. I told you he did not give Donald Trump 45 million each month as he was told that he's giving money. And you said, I will prove you wrong. And you have put here link that actually proves you wrong. Or whatever. Just wanted to say that. Thanks. And congratulations to all the Jews in the world for the killing of this fucking Osama Ismail Haniyeh shit. I was really happy. I saw him in my childhood when I was 14, 15. I saw this piece of shit. I listened to him in the mosques. I saw him in protests. He even came to the building where I was lived to visit my neighbor who lived upstairs when the Israelis, they freed or they put free one of the prisoners, Palestinian prisoners, after he finished his sentence in the Israeli prison. The Ismail Haniyeh came to the place where I was living in Gaza. He came to the 6th floor. I live on the 4th floor, and I'm really happy that this guy is bye-bye, because this actually means that we might actually get somewhere. This war can actually stop someday, and that's how it's gonna stop. And there's a big difference between this war stopping and just beginning again after 2 or 3 years maximum. But when this guy is done, when this guy is gone, I think this war can just be over soon.
And when it's over, do you think Israel keeps troops in Gaza?
No, I think if it's over, then we should make sure that there's a very strong police force in Gaza, very strong intelligence, collaborate with the Israelis 24/7, and not allowing any Islamists to take power again in Gaza. So anyone who wants to play stupid, he goes to jail. He doesn't. Nobody should pay for someone's wish to die. So I think it should be a lesson. So I believe if there is anyone to blame, it's Israel to blame, because in 2008 when Israel began a war with Gaza, they did not finish Hamas. They also started the war in 2014, didn't finish Hamas. So why you wait so long for them to get this strong, and now you're suffering, losing? It's almost 9 months already, and you're still fighting Hamas. You can kill Ismail Haniyeh in the middle of Tahran. I don't know how, but you cannot finish Hamas for 4 months in Gaza. It's disgusting. They are too strong, and if you want peace, you need to make sure that there is nothing called Hamas anymore, and Islamic Jihad and all of this bullshit. But you should also support the Palestinians to have a very self-government in Gaza. A government in Gaza that has collaboration with the Israelis, and we very strong police.
Adele, I don't think it's a fair characterization of Israel. Like Hamas as if those are their choice. Because as you know, UN is putting stop or blocks in a way every single turn, and so it's excessively difficult for Israel to actually get things done when they have to constantly worry about doing, as well as the type of tactic that Hamas is, Hamas's strategy is in the region is that they're using civilians as a shields. They mix within the civilian population, so it's extremely difficult to just take them out. And
I've never said it's easy. I never said so. But I would say it would have been way less difficult if Israel has gone to war fully, like to finish the job in 2008. It was a deadly war. It was a very ugly war in Gaza, 2008. Hamas did not have this much tunnels. Hamas did not have this much power. And they could have entered Gaza and fuck all of the Hamas. But I think Israel wanted Hamas to be there because they wanted Gaza to be separate from the West Bank, to have two separate governments. By the way, Hamas would never be this strong if Israel did not allow it. It was Israel who actually funded Hamas somehow. They have allowed millions of dollars to go inside Gaza. Okay? And Hamas always threatened Israel's existence. And I'm a Gazan. I was born and raised in Gaza. I'm telling you this. If there are victims in Palestine, they are the Palestinians because of Hamas. I always blame Hamas.
No, I guess,
disgusting.
and I've heard that hypothesis spoken before because there's certain hearsay about Bibi mentioning something along the lines of the tactics of containment where you pit one side against the other, but that was done outside of any kind of military operations. That was done when all the roadblocks and stuff were put in the way of Israel of fixing this problem. And once again, whenever Israel. No, I got you. No, hold on, Adam. I haven't finished.
That's fine.
I haven't finished my sentence yet. I patiently waited for you to finish. So, I mean, although I understand where you're coming from, but I don't think it's a very realistic way of framing what's happening. And to say that Israel is not doing all it can, especially in this turn of history, I think it's just flatly wrong. I mean, I think Israel is doing the best it can with the best type of precision that can be achieved by the modern technology, and the circumstances and how Hamas is carrying themselves in this conflict. I think that puts another level of strain on Israel's ability to resolve this problem once.
Okay, fine, but I also want to tell you, I'm not a self-hater. Okay, I know the Palestinians, we are not self-haters. So, Hamas are Palestinians, but I actually don't believe so. I don't believe Hamas are Palestinians. So, I hate them, but I don't hate, the fact they are fanatics. They don't care about the Palestinians. Do you think Hamas has any chance against the Israelis and against the West? I believe they don't have any chance. This is first of all. So they're gonna lose this war sooner or later. They are losers. They're losing this war. There's no chance they will survive. It's only Israel will decide if something called Hamas will still exist in Gaza or not. It's Israel who's gonna decide that. So I think if Israel decides to finish Hamas, it's a matter of time. I don't care. It's gonna take 1 year, 2 years, 5 years. I don't care. It's Israel who's gonna decide when Hamas is over. So this is first of all. Second of all, Hamas know this. The Hamas leaders, they know this shit. They know it. They know they cannot stand. There's no way they can stand against Israel. There is no way. It's not only Israel. It's Israel and who's behind Israel. Okay? Especially the Arabs. I think the Arabs are supporting Israel and they have proved it. Emirates, Jordan, all of these countries. So, why they don't surrender and save all of these babies and these women and all of these people? Why do you not? Why do you just don't say, okay, listen, we have made a mistake and we want to negotiate, surrender, and they can just fucking leave. We can have 40,000 people leaving from Hamas, their leadership, their soldiers. They can fucking leave. They can go to Afghanistan or Iran or whatever shit they want to go, and leave the Palestinians. Who is resisting in Gaza are not Hamas. These are the Palestinians. They're getting killed every single day. If Hamas decides this war will be over, it's very easy to free all of the prisoners they have. The Israelis they captured. You should free them all. Okay? And Israel should give something back. They should just leave. Well, Israel has already accepted something similar in the past. When the PLO was way better than Hamas equipment, and it was in Lebanon. You can easily get funded, they can easily get more soldiers and all of that. What happened is that PLO, after 3 months of war with the Israelis, they have decided to leave. The Israelis accepted that, and they have left. All of the soldiers of the PLO, they have left by the sea from Lebanon to somewhere else, and they have left Lebanon alone, and the war was over. Why the fuck Hamas is fighting for 9 months? What is their accomplishments? I wish I know what they have done. A suicide bomb? That's a suicide bomb. Who's winning? You're the first one who's gonna die. They go, they capture, they kill, they injure, they burn, and then they escape. Why you fuck escape? Okay, and then they escape, and then they hide. They play hide and seek with the Israelis. And they dress in civilian clothes, and they fuck the Palestinians, and they attack the Israelis. So the Israelis actually, if they dress civilian, then everybody over 40 and 50 years old is a target. I mean, what the fuck? I mean, what? I mean, you can go and kill the Israelis, their babies, their children. You can rape their women. You can do whatever they want, and you expect the Israelis to say, "Okay, sorry, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go back to Europe. Israel was a bad idea. Let me give you your land back. Okay, this is your land. Okay, sorry. Here's your money. Here's your land. Bye bye." It's not gonna happen. That's stupid. So what happened is that the Palestinians were captured, were held hostages by a fucking terrorist group. Hamas is nothing more, nothing less than a terrorist group.
And that's all that you're doing. And you're doing that because you have no other purpose in your life. You don't have any sense of what actually is important.
Well, he said, here's the part that is overwhelmingly screaming loud. These people never open their own rooms.
That's right.
That is the loudest truth that we always see. They don't.
No, I've been in different rooms. I'm in loads of different rooms.
I'm not. Well, maybe you're one of them. Maybe you're not one of them.
Fine, I'll make you
Maybe.
That's fine.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. But my point is that maybe you are one of them. Maybe you're not. But they never open their own rooms. They never want to have their own.
The group that I am referring to,
Individuals who
kids that are loud and that are only speaking slogans.
Okay,
Go on.
but some, I could
Go on, Margaret. No, it's not finished. It's not done.
I could argue that you're one.
And so what is it? They don't, because why? Because they don't have an audience.
No, they don't.
And
they just come to troll and yell to other rooms and basically rape the rooms, they get into.
Hang on, I think fairness, okay, they're not all same. So, look, Aziz and I managed to be able to have a conversation. He was mostly respectful of the guidelines of dialogue. Yeah, and he was evasive at times, I think, especially when he found that there wasn't an avenue to be able to sort of escape some realities and truths that challenge some of his own values. And that's okay. I've got no issue with that. There's a degree of intellectual dishonesty, but there are other people that are just full of malicious lies and garbage that come about, and I think there's basically a scale.
Yeah, but I don't like people that just come to obfuscate in rooms, you know? I mean, like, when you are able to have a conversation and break down your argument and tell us how is it that you came to that conclusion, I don't care on what side you are. Like, we can have a conversation, we can talk to each other, but when you have these type of people that come to the room, they throw, for example, like MK did, oh, what about the dog? And so we are trying to be honest and engage in the conversation with the dog because we assume, okay, he wants to know about the dog. And as soon as we start trying to speak about the dog, he's like, oh, but what about the women and the children? You know, so it's just try to throw a lot of statements all at once to try to obfuscate the conversation. And then there is this constant interruption. There's no a real conversation. It's no dialogue. The interaction, it just gets very annoying. And I'm done with that. Like whenever I find people that act like that, I don't know. I'm gonna start throwing them out. I don't like them.
Well, one thing I will say, obviously, me and Rohan had a conversation earlier. It was like an hour long. We didn't interrupt each other. Very, very respectful, even though we strongly disagree with each other. I'm not gonna lie, Issa, you're quite, critical of other people, but I don't feel like the way you do things is exactly fair. I've been in a room with you before. You're probably gonna try and cut me off right now. To be fair, I've been here before, but you weren't fair to me. I'll be honest. You weren't fair.
How was I not fair to you?
Because like I didn't, not once did I speak over a person. Or I was going.
You must have done something as this.
So this is what I did. So, and I do this when I'm speaking to people to let them know that I'm listening. I say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
right.
And I told you,
I
told you when you're listening, I want you on mute.
Right.
I don't want because it's distracting. Right.
Right. But,
okay.
But me and the person had a genuine flowing dialogue. Like it wasn't interrupted. The person and me were actually flowing back and forth. It was very genuine, right? We even cut each other off, but in an appropriate way, to the point where it didn't need to be managed or controlled, right? But I felt like the way you did that was not right. That was not appropriate. And then you doubled down.
I asked you for something, and you kept doing it, and yeah, I got annoyed.
Right. So but it was a bit of an emotional response. I don't like.
I'm a woman, so what?
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Last thing I swear.
That's a good enough answer, I think. But like I said, sometimes we're having logical debates, and I'm hearing stuff that I genuinely, strongly, emotionally even disagree with, but I refuse to allow myself to get emotional.
I mean, that's very trying to obfuscate the conversation, just as I am saying right now. You started every single argument by saying, well, I am not someone that gets emotionally charged, and then when you were having people talking to you, were like, and that is also a tactic to distract the person that is making an argument to you. And that is what I told you, because when I was speaking and you were doing that, it was very distracting to me. Daniel also told you the same thing. And then I asked you to be on mute when people were talking to you, and you kept doing it. So exactly, just like you're doing right now. So
no, but that's listening.
I don't care. You don't need to do
Right.
I'm telling you, distract the person that's talking.
But like I find that, no offense, I find you quite annoying, but I don't have to voice that.
Okay, then don't come to my rooms.
Right, no, but obviously I come here for a conversation, not for like to make friends, right?
That was hysterical what you just did there, Aziz, honestly.
Right. But the thing is, just like, I come here for conversation, not to, these aren't my pen pals and friends, like I'm not, I don't really care about, other than the words we say, I'm not trying to, grow some kind of relationship with you.
Neither is anyone here with you. At least I'm not trying to do that with you.
But I don't allow my emotions to enter the conversation, and I feel like, especially, it even undermined what you had to say, to be fair, because I was like, oh, so this guy is kind of going to have consistent emotional reactions, so how can I have a logical conversation with this person? Rohan, on the other hand, he never had an emotional reaction. even though we had strongly disagreeable points, he kind of gave me that respect, and I gave him that
And
back.
Rohan is Rohan, and I will never be like Rohan.
Amen.
But, you know, we can always
she's
aspire to be better.
she's saving up to be, okay.
Yeah, we can aspire to be better, you know, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't consider Rohan to be better, so I don't think why should I become like Rohan.
Look, it's not my fault I'm born with a penis, yes sir.
Okay.
I think,
And I
you know,
think,
yeah.
listen, it is
Blame
very
Allah for
easy
that.
when you feel uncomfortable in a place and you feel like your feelings are being hurt. By all means, I advise you to protect yourself and avoid to be hurt. So if you find me annoying and you find like I really hurt you in any way, please stop coming to my rooms
No, I think,
and
you know,
be safe.
no, you gotta remember, with me, obviously, the difference between me and you is I don't let, like, so I mentioned I found your name, but I don't let that overthrow my overarching point, you know, like.
Good, then suck it up. Because as long as it's my room and you're in my space, I will rule it as I wish.
Yeah, I only told you you were annoying to prove a point. Like, I wouldn't have said that if I wasn't.
And I'm not getting offended by that, by the way. I don't care.
Right,
I don't have the need to be liked by everyone.
Well, that wasn't my intention, but what I will say is just in future, because unfairness is like, you know, like I said, if you cut off a man's tongue, it kind of means you're afraid of what he has to say. And I said that before. The truth.
Oh, trust me, I am not afraid.
Oh my gosh, this is still going on. This competition is still going on.
Bang, we're going to pause it right there. Okay. I think it's really interesting. Okay, and maybe that's a point of conversation in itself. Okay, cutting off a person's tongue. Well, yeah, okay. I can get you somebody if you need somebody, Marvin. I care about you. Your feelings are paramount.
Coffee.
But I really. He's got lovely hair. Can everybody put like a 1 in the chat if you like Marvin?
I woke up on the wrong side of the bed today, okay?
Put a 1 in the chat. Okay, put a 1 in the chat if you like Marvin's hair. Come on, let's put a 1 in the chat. Let's go, come on.
Yeah, Marvin's a good looking guy.
He's a good looking guy. Put a 1 in the chat. Okay. Marvin's looking at the moment and he's getting hurt. Okay. Alright, Simon gave him a 1. Yay. Good. Everybody.
You're making me laugh too hard. Stop it. Oh, my side hurts.
We gotta boost the kings.
Yeah, look, I mean, cutting off a person's tongue. So we're talking about freedom of speech, and you know when it's appropriate to be able to stop a person, or not. And like I think we've got different ideas and different opinions about this. But Aziz, are you an absolute freedom? Yeah, are you for absolute freedom of speech, Aziz, or not?
Yeah, as long as you're not insulting someone. As long as you're making a valid.
As long as you don't say Mohammed is a pedophile, then
or cutting someone off as well. That's a big one as well. Cutting someone off is a big one. As long as you don't cut someone off, while they're literally answering a question that you asked, Rohan.
Okay, I've got a question. Okay, in which case?
I'm getting tired of your whining, dude. You do it once more, you're gonna get out. No. It's again. I'm not gonna deal with this kind of shit, and I am not gonna have here a so-called man whining and bitching in a room and playing the victim. I'm not. If he is not tough enough to be here, he can leave. I'm great. Great. He left. It's amazing.
I think you questioned his man.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, my bad. I'm back.
Oh, I thought that you ran away like a chicken.
No, okay. Let me ask a question. If you believe in that, okay, Aziz, cutting a man's tongue off, let's talk about, I don't know, if the person does a caricature of Muhammad, is that okay?
So you asked me, when I first answered the question, I said as long as it's not an insult. And that is an insult. A caricature is an insult. So that answers your question.
What defines what is an insult? Because you called me annoying. I could take that as an insult and I could kick you out of my room, right?
You need to calm the fuck down. I'm actually sick of...
So you know what it was? The only reason I told you I found you annoying was to stress the point that...
No, listen, I don't care if you find it annoying. All I'm saying is, who defines what is an insult?
Well, why are you guys giving us a platform?
Everybody say goodbye to Aziz.
Thank you. Jeez. Can we have like a normal discussion about something?
I genuinely wanted him to get back to basically him saying Like you ask us to condemn, but then like.
And everybody say goodbye to Sim as well.
Can I ask a question?
Oh, I thought she already left.
Who is next?
This is Nova. So I'm just wondering, like, what is the issue with people being so afraid of other people's opinions when having a conversation when it comes down to freedom of speech?
Who's afraid of the opinions?
Well, it seems like there's a bunch of people, especially on this app. I see it all the time within social media.
I don't mind other people's opinions.
Wow.
A lot of people.
Rohan minds other people's opinions.
No, I don't think it's about opinions. I think it's
Rohan does mind other people's opinions. That's why he's a
I think it's
comment.
them not
I
accepting.
hate rooms where everyone agrees with each other.
I disagree.
You
I
don't have to
disagree, man.
necessarily agree to each other. You know what I'm saying? But you can have a dialogue.
No.
That's the whole point of having a conversation. But then you get some who, I have a mom badge and I'm just going to silence you because I'm scared of what you may have to say because it may sway the audience to a different narrative because I'm really scared deep down inside, so I have to dictate the situation. That's literally how it happens.
I am a freedom of speech absolutist. I am not afraid of words. Yes, I am. Now, having freedom of speech doesn't mean that I am under the obligation to hear what you've got to say. So, for example, if I hold a dinner in my house and you come and start calling my mom stupid, maybe I will not allow that to happen and you will not be allowed to be in my house, right?
That's your house, though.
So, yeah, correct. But you can go...
What's she cooking?
Hold on, but you can go to your house and call my mom stupid if you want. That's
Does she
fine.
make schnitzel?
Oh my God, Rohan!
Just asking, alright?
Rohan, stop using your freedom of speech.
That's right.
Okay, now that I got rid of her, okay, let's have a proper conversation.
Oh,
Look, I mean...
The big reason Latina's gonna come for you, my friend.
Oh, God. No, for what it's worth, like I had a conversation. I was having a conversation for the last 6 hours on Israel and Palestine, Gaza and Iran and stuff like that, and people were able to engage respectfully. So it is possible. Okay, but it really depends on the people who are part of the conversation.
It's just more the exception, not the rule.
Like people like Simon and Marvin would be able to do exactly the same thing, but it just depends on the people who are turning up for the conversation. If they're able to like keep their heads about them, be open, and just maybe adhere to some very basic guidelines, it's certainly possible.
Totally agree.
I disagree. No, stuff.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I try to keep my views in reference to the topic you were speaking on and you had to learn about to myself because, not everybody's kumbaya and I get it, but I just don't like the concept of war because it involves a lot of innocent men, women, and children. And I feel like war has been such a big plague on this planet for decades. And there's a lot of innocent people involved that cannot defend themselves, and I just can't stand it. And that's just my humanitarian side. I know that there's different portions and reasons why people do engage or go to war, but I just think it's unfair to the people, the men, women, and children of all nationalities, if you ask me. But that's just me, so that's why I don't usually prefer to engage in those conversations, because I can't stand them. Not the conversation itself, I can't stand the concept of war. Being unfairly done and caught in the crossfire. It bothers me.
I would agree, and it's a shame that there are. Look, shame. It's ugly. It's painful to see innocent people, being in atrocities, being caught in the crossfire. I don't disagree with the reality we live in is that there is evil, and evil needs to be dealt with when it acts. And when we come from, we see such wokeism that's placed society these days, it actually dampens our abilities to be able to act effectively and instrumentally. And I'm not saying that's where you're coming from, right? But this sentiment that is pervasive, right, at the moment through this woke leftist ideologies, is just actually making us weaker and making this world even more dangerous than ever. And for what it's worth, whether it's Israel needing to be able to go and get rid of Hamas, okay, as best as possible or not. I mean, or whether it's Ukraine doing what they need to be able to do to protect their borders. We've just got to respect that's what needs to be done. When a person's sovereignty, when a country's sovereignty is being attacked, they've got a responsibility to be able to defend themselves just as anybody else is. If you're walking in the street, somebody punches you, you know what? You're not just going to walk away and say, that wasn't very nice. You got to deal with it.
It's an understandable perspective to take, but it's also quite condescending. Because you're saying that from a nation with a vast array of abundant excess resources, that's a net exporter of a ton of the basic necessities to live, that happens to have the most advanced, craziest security blanket ever devised by man that we know of, that has the strength and the ability to get what it wants from other countries without having to bomb them, and when it does have to bomb them, is very free and loose with the bombs. So
who are you referring to? Who are you referring to?
America.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
So to have this perspective, oh, war is horrible, why don't we just not fight? Keep in mind that you're saying that from a position where most of the people around you have enough to eat. And they have some social mobility and some hope, and they have things to do, and their idle hands are occupied and distracted by entertainment and work and all the kinds of things that Americans fill their lives with. These people in these situations are not coming from the same place and then deciding, let's just do war. They're in a significantly different circumstance. And you should recognize that before you just present the notion of, how about you guys just not shoot each other in the face?
Well, that's understandable, from a standpoint. I definitely get what you're saying. And in some form, I actually agree. However, America is not just the only nation or country that has had war. Since the dawn of civilization, there has been war in tribalism, all kind of culture, countries. So technically, at the end of the day, you have to look at your leadership. Every nation has to look at leadership because every leadership runs their country in a different way, right? And most of those leaderships have had histories of war. So that's an actual fact. Mankind has known war since the dawn of time. So it's almost like if you're gonna blame one, and point the finger, you way of not taking accountability and blaming all for certain aspects of different things. But however, if you're gonna make that statement, I feel like it's only fair to look at it across the board since the dawn of time. This is a humankind
When you look at it historically, war seems to be much more geographical than it is a leadership or a function of leadership. There are three main areas in the world that have had a vastly outsized amount of warfare since we've been recording history. And the reasons for that are geographical. They form language barriers. They form a divide between the people on one side and the people on the other side of an area based on these conflicts. But these hot zones have been hot and remain hot as a function of their geography.
Well, no, I'm going to push back on that, Manville. I think,
and policy is going to have a hard time. Policy is going to have a hard time overcoming the structure of these places, like Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia or the Middle East.
So, but can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, you can.
Look, the idea of that geographies are the reason why wars exist, then that's not an understanding of war, right? So what you're saying is that wars tend to happen where geographies have an influence, but wars don't happen because of geographies.
Oh, I'm getting a bad connection. I lost. Can you get?
No. So it's the Department of Insurance. Like if we determine that it's fraud, if I determine that it's a fraud claim, I basically submit it to the Department of Insurance, and then it goes on your record, like your permanent record. So if somebody like pulls up claims, if you have another claim, and somebody pulls it up, they'll look through your history and they'll see that you had like a fraud claim in the past.
Oh, that sucks. I hate to have any type of record on me. But I was gonna tell you because they're public, so like anyone can really look through it.
So then when we drop you from the insurance company I work for, when you try to go get insurance with another insurance company, if they do take you on, which is rare, your premiums will be out the ass. You're an insurance risk.
So like, let's say I get into a car because of the weather. Like, could you determine that's a fraud? Like, how do you determine that's a fraud or not?
What type of claim?
Like, let's say I got into a car accident and, like, let's say I was teaching my younger kid to drive. They crashed the car and they say, oh, it was the weather because it was bad or something. How would you determine that was a fraudulent claim?
Well, that wouldn't fall into the category of fraud. You're teaching your kid how to drive.
And
They crash the car. Regardless of the weather, you're still at fault because you didn't maintain control of the vehicle.
So you wouldn't cover it?
No, you'd be covered. You would just have an at-fault accident. But there's instances where they wouldn't cover you. Does your kid have a license?
Yes.
Do they have a permit?
Yeah, you sign out license and permit, sorry.
Yeah. Are they on your policy?
No, they're just learning to drive.
Yeah, then they may not be able to get covered.
Yeah.
I know here in the United States, most insurance companies, most states, in order for a kid to get a permit or a license, they gotta be covered by their parents' insurance or have their own policy.
And I say, like, when you're a new driver, your insurance is very high unless you like know people who can put you on under their coverage. Is that
Today,
that's not true.
Next week.
Oh, it's just like, yeah, like when you're first time driving, you own insurance.
This is
charging
Democracy Watch. So, Mark, President
you
Biden
don't know what you're doing.
So insurance doesn't really cover the person; it covers the car.
Oh.
You're just on the policy as a permitted user of the vehicle, or vehicles that are on the policy. Is how it works.
Do you work from home?
Sometimes I do stuff in person.
Oh,
Right now, I'm not at home. I'm actually at
in the office.
No, I'm at a salvage yard, like where wrecked cars go. So we have a contract with this big auction place, and they hold our vehicles for us, so we can come out here and look at the cars.
Mario, I don't know you, but I like you.
I appreciate it. So the car I'm looking at right now, I gotta come out here and I gotta do measurements to see if it like matches up with what's being claimed.
If I got first, I'll be giving you dirty looks.
Yeah, that's how it goes. That's how it goes.
What up, guys?
Good morning, everyone. This is Poet. I'd like to I'd like to make morning greetings to you all and the president of Clown House, Mr. Oscar, and his assistant, Lil Haiti. This is Poet. No, this isn't a troll. What are you talking about? No, but I do agree with you. I like the speaker. Was it Mario talking about the vehicles? His insurance job? It sounded interesting. You don't know who I am, Uncle, and I don't know who you are. We've never met. I definitely do not know who you are, and if you keep playing this game, I'll just leave the room because I don't want to have a conversation with you. I'm here to talk to Mr. Oscar, the president of Clowntown.
No, I'm just kidding. But oh, he left.
Well, hey, Mario, so wait, you work for a car insurance corporation? Like, what do you, I don't understand. What's your job title and what's the name of the business, or I guess what's a made up name of the business, or I guess can you explain your situation because it sounded so interesting. I agree with Hazad. I want to be your friend. I like you.
So it's not a made up thing. I work in a specific department for an insurance company that investigates fraud.
God, I meant like so you don't dox yourself.
Potential fraud claims. Oh. Look at this car.
You know, I thought my credit card got swiped the other day because I started seeing charges on it from a gym that I don't go to. And it turns out that that gym bought my gym and they took over the monthly billing. I was like, holy shit. And I called Amex to file a fraud claim because I kept getting charges from this gym. And it turns out, you know, it wasn't fraud, and I ended up canceling my card, and I lost my cards. I caused all kinds of problems because they didn't inform their fucking customers. Can you hear me? Because this phone is really shitty. It looks like it's coming through.
No, he said that they got gym member trying to sue himself for providing another company. So he didn't realize that he was told that explicitly he canceled his card because he thought he was getting on camera. Also charges. What I gathered from what he said.
Except for when you're wrong.
Well, there you go.
And everybody, if you like Marvin's hair, please put a 1 in the chat. Just put a 1 in the chat. Show a bit of love. He's just had a haircut.
What number should we put if we don't like it?
Put a 2 in the chat if you don't like
That number doesn't exist, is the correct answer, Rohan.
No, the number is you leave quietly. That's the number.
Wow. Pretty rough.
That's a lot of freedom of speech right there.
Yeah, that's true. I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome the beautiful Issa back. She's a little bit one-eyed about things sometimes, but we can look.
Amazing.
So it was something mentioned about woke, right?
Yeah, I'd said that.
And yes, sir, you did. And I wanted to know the difference between a woke person that is considered a liberal, right? And a woke person who does not identify with either one of those things. And what, defines them as being considered woke. Because honestly, I've been hearing that word a lot, and I feel like it can be detrimental to any one person's stance. And how I figure it is because when I heard it first on this app, people were saying woke is bad, woke is liberal, woke is this, that, and the other. And this is, I don't consider myself a liberal or anything of that nature. But to be woke is to be aware, right?
Well,
because you're aware of your surroundings.
hang on. I asked her to respond directly to, because she's referring to something I said. I'll respond directly, and then maybe other people can give their response of what they think woke is. No, the great question. I think it's really good to be able to look at maybe the etymology of it. As I understand it, it's word and terminology that comes from elements of Black America, as being, hey, become aware, understand, have a look around, take in, and it's about awareness. It was about awareness, and there has been an appropriation of that that has been repurposed in a way that I was using it, right, to be able to highlight the ignorance of, as an example, far left kids at university who are walking around with slogans, walking around with flags and calling out slogans without even understanding what the fuck they're saying. Okay, they are pretending, right, to know something about, something that they really have no idea about. And they're just, literally, they are sheeple. They are people who are regurgitating information without any type of critical thinking. And that, to me, is just, that's a woke person. That's just really lame. They're they're essentially, a lot of them are emotional.
Social media virtue signalers.
They need to be seen.
It's called engagement farming,
doing the right thing and getting some social clout as a result of that. And that's how I'd probably characterize it.
Okay, everybody, welcome to How to Do Engagement Farming. This is Poet. Engagement farming is a newer term that I've never heard before and really didn't understand. But this morning I kind of got a better understanding of what engagement farming is, so I want to discuss what engagement farming is, how to do engagement farming. Hi 5K, welcome to my podcast. I'm discussing how to do engagement farming. This room is essentially an engagement farm. I'm doing it as we speak live. We'll see if anybody wants to come to the Subscribe podcast. This is Poet. Thanks for being here.
So she's on the way or whatever. We can send that. This is kind of something I think is really important. So thank you very much, and thank you for the feedback. And any feedback that you may have on what I'm doing would be most welcome. Great, thanks, Adrian. And thank you very much. If you all have enjoyed this show and would like to see more shows like it, please do follow me. I'm always here. I think I'm going to start a space just after this one, which I call the information space, where we practically discuss anything. It's a daily show. It's running a bit late because the space is very long. But yeah, do join me for that. I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, John Spencer, for giving us the time, at this much time especially. So, yeah, man, awesome stuff. Have a good day. NFC.
young boys who don't know each other, killing each other on behalf of old men that do know each other.
Kind of seek, to an extent, validation from people who are experts in the niches of which you speak, right? This is kind of something I think is really important. So thank you very much, and thank you for the feedback. And any feedback that you may have on what I'm doing would be most welcome. Great. Thanks, Adrian. And thank you very much. If you all have enjoyed this show and would like to see more shows like it, please do follow me. I'm always here. I think I'm going to start a space just after this one, which I call the information space, where we practically discuss anything. It's a daily show. It's running a bit late because the space is very long. But yeah, do join me for that. I'm going to end it here. Thank you all for coming.
Young boys who don't know each other.
Seek to serving the most amount of people and creating a real civic identity around shared values and shared causes and each other. I'm a religious person, but I have no problem saying that like religion.
So I agree. I do think that is one of the that's a good, I would say, jugular for the American side, like to kind of figure out where the support and the funding and everything's coming from. And so in that sense, I mean, I don't know that it depends on what their priorities are. And if their priority is really to bring them aside, then, do they care? Do they care about at the cost and the expense of the American people? I don't know. I mean, that's a great question to
different way. I was trying to figure out what the ultimacy that upholds and secures the truth value of propositions in the world was. And I eventually came to that it has to be something that has relationality and the ability to uphold and secure the
Yeah, right? You saw the statement? Okay.
I get you. No, I frankly don't know what to make of that just yet. It's weird. But what I've been looking at is the Iranian response. I'm not sure how they'll go. I expect they have to respond. A hit on their own territory, and we saw this back in April when the Israelis hit one of their air defense sites, and we had a significant response directly from Iran against Israel. The U.S., the French, the Brits, the Jordanians even all helped knock that down. I suspect we may get something like that again. I think the chances are high. Obviously, the proxies in the region are already starting to respond. And the question will be whether or not Khomeini is serious when he says that he's ordered the Iranian military to directly strike against Israel in preparation for a larger war. We'll see. I think the chances are probably significant, and I think a lot will hinge on what the U.S. does and does not say. I have been very, very disappointed with the Biden administration that they have not come out and said, look, if you go to war with Israel, you're going to war with us, and we're going to come in and we're going to stop you flat. They should be doing everything possible, including threats of direct U.S. intervention, to prevent this. The fact that they're not, in my opinion, that increases the chances that we will see significant direct fighting, obviously at range, between the Israelis and the Iranians. Certainly it encourages their regional proxies to do more, especially if they keep withholding munitions, as we've found out that they have been. The joker in the deck, I think, will be Hezbollah. Obviously, they're closely tied to the regime in Tehran. They have been for decades. And it's going to depend on whether Khomeini is annoyed enough to risk his second major proxy in the region by having Hezbollah do.
Hamas in the south. I think there's a lot of moving pieces. There's potential for this to blow up into something significant. There's the potential for it to simply be an increased exchange of long-range fire, and then everyone kind of backs off and goes to their separate corners. I'm not sure which one it's going to turn into just yet, frankly.
Patrick, they say that the U.S. is sending more combat fighter jets over right now, 57 minutes ago.
Yep, and as Bree said, this notion that they're putting another carrier in the region, that's been USSOP for, God, since at least 9/11. You probably go back further to that and say, since at least the 91 Iraq War, we've had significant assets in the region. But yeah, we're seeing a somewhat increased, reported anyway, increase in U.S. Air Force deployments. What that looks like is not yet clear. I saw the same report.
So, may I say something? I just received something from Dr. Doran exactly about that, what you are talking about.
What did you say? What did you say,
I have just received a message from Dr. Mike Doran exactly about what the Americans are sending to the Middle East. May I read it for you?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm reading. So Dr. Mike Doran has just written me. The Israelis are inclined to preempt the Iranians and Hezbollah. The Americans are working hard to block the preemption. Americans want a repeat of April 13. It all comes down to how willing the Israelis are to defy the Americans. There is a lot of room for miscalculation. This is what Mike Doran has written me. So don't be impressed by what the Biden administration has sent. It is nothing else but to prevent Netanyahu to take a preemptive action. That's it. This is what Mike Doran sent me. Thank you.
Well, Lillian, I don't think he's wrong, given that we keep hearing the diplomatic solution rhetoric continue to come out of the administration.
No, he is not wrong. He is not wrong because he served as a director of in the Pentagon under George Bush for 2 years, and he had his own head about also the Bush administration and their policies in the Middle East, and he knows the administration in Washington, D.C. in and out, not to talk about that he also speaks the local languages. So he would have never written me something like this unless he was sure that that's it. And Hallel Biton Rosen is informing his followers that they are, despite Shabbat, they are going for a special reporting on Channel 14 right now. That's it. I'm going to listen to Channel 14 and I will update you from time to time.
So they're going to allow Channel 14 to stay on through the night?
Yes, for the next 2 hours at least, yeah. He has just informed his followers. I just got the information.
Who's the reporter that's going to stay open?
He is the military and army reporter of Channel 14. That's it.
Oh boy, oh boy,
I'm
oh
going to
boy.
light candles now. Excuse me.
Ay, Lillian, I love you. Don't cry. Ay, ay, ay. Come back to the space. I'm gonna leave it open all the way through. Shabbat candles are not till 7 at least in Israel. So, ay, 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 Lillian. Ay, ay, ay. They need to strike right now. Right now. They can't wait. I think Patrick, I
think this is why Netanyahu called the cabinet in order to take that decision, yes or no. God Vehita Israel.
I think all the decisions have been taken already, Lillian, and I think
God
that
Vehita Israel. God
we
Vehita Israel.
say אשרי אדם פוחד תמיד, and it's good to always be aware of danger that may come, and always pray, and always never underestimate the enemies, but also remember all the time that, as we say, Lo Alman Israel, maybe a big thing will come today.
I'm so sorry I'm not down there to be with you.
Sorry?
I feel so guilty. So guilty.
No.
Watching it from far, I feel so guilty.
Guilty for what?
For not being.
I feel guilty that you're going to miss all the fun.
I feel
You see, next time you should be here so you don't miss all the fun.
I'm not afraid.
Give me one second. Yeah, you're back.
I'm not afraid. I feel guilty for not being down there with you. I feel
you are with us all the time.
So far away.
You are here in your soul, and this is where you are, and this is where your thoughts are, and and your heart is here. So that's all that matters, and we are all in it together, and we'll press it together stronger than ever. And you don't know, but I've been here not only a co-host for more than 10 hours, but also the sidekick of the Olympic Games. So very soon, Raz Hershko, we're gonna go for a fight of the semi-final. She's gonna have a Turkish opponent, as if things cannot be anymore. Anymore tight. So keep, kudos and send good vibes, good energy to our Raz Hershko in Paris. There was supposed to be also sailing for our amazing windsurfers, but the wind in Marseille is fucked up like everything in French. And so it will be tomorrow, and if not, they're both in the second place, which means they will get automatic silver medal. But we hope that there will be sailing tomorrow. So that was the little update of the Olympic, and if you can, and if you want, and if you like judo and you like Olympic Games, you can watch Raz Hershko in the next few minutes.
Fred, your hand was up before. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I feel bad because the emotion that was just thrust upon the space was really trumps anything that I would say, but I would say that what is happening now, in my opinion, is when Netanyahu said, give me the weapons, I'll do the job, I'll finish this. There had to be a decision that was made. The decision was going to be, was the United States, the West, the free world that wanted to live in peace, willing to kick the can down the road, defend against this onslaught that'll come upon Israel right now, and finally take the offensive actions necessary to potentially deter it? Or were they going to just kick the can down the road and let the next attack be in their homeland against Israel with 10,000 missiles, or just wait, for that inevitability to happen? We don't know exactly what decision has been made. I am positive that Israel, once they can document either through United States intelligence and or their own, that they are under attack, meaning something has been launched towards them, that they will immediately not wonder about if it's crossing into Israeli airspace or not, but will utilize all of the technology and all of the military might that they have in the region to defend the nation. There will not be, let's wait for it to cross through Iranian geography before we implement strategies and equipment to defend Israel. And American, and it's a fine line, right? But at this particular point, I would imagine they might as well wait for the first drone from Yemen or the first, cruise missile to be launched so that they can tell the world, we waited, here's the documents, here's the intel, we were under attack and we responded. It's worth it. So we'll find out, like Patrick said, if the decision has been made to kick the can down the road and play defense, or if offense and changing the dynamics in the region is genuine. We already know. Yep, and that's kind of where I'm at. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say to Patrick, what's the over and under that Israel says to the UK and the US, hey, listen, we can't run the risk of something coming through. We got to do something significant ahead of schedule. How quick can those decisions change, in your opinion, Patrick, military-wise, or Bree?
Well, it really depends, and I'll let Bree speak to this too, but, no, that sounded condescending, Bree, I'm sorry. I haven't enough coffee, apparently.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Thanks, Patrick. Just joking.
I'm sorry. No, this kind of stuff can change very, very quickly. If we see a significant response from Hezbollah, and I mean a saturation attack that does overwhelm Iron Dome and its ancillary defenses, and it really starts doing a lot of damage, then yeah, Israel may make the decision, okay, we certainly have to go into Lebanon. We may have to conduct direct strikes against Iran to make it clear to them that they need to tell their people to back off. So this certainly has the potential to do that. And frankly, a lot of it's going to depend on what Israeli intelligence is telling Bibi and Mr. Gallant and the rest of his government. If they're saying, look, we're anticipating a huge response, they may decide to try and preempt. If they're saying, okay, they're pissed off at us because we made them look like fools, and they're going to make a show, but it won't be anything serious, then obviously it goes the other way. The other thing to consider will be what the Israelis think the Biden administration is going to do, and God knows who's running the place these days. Your guess is as good as mine. But if they anticipate that administration is going to continue its policy of withholding aid, of being fairly stingy with weapons resupply, offensive weapons resupply, I should say. They've been fairly good about getting them Iron Dome and defensive munitions. If their anticipation is that that's going to be the case, then obviously they're going to be a little bit more careful. If they are prepared to wait another, 6 months now, and they anticipate...
Were you saying that April strike, or are you saying since the original?
No, since the one just a week ago. If they're looking at the U.S. election and think that they may get a Trump government in, then they may hold off and prepare for a strike, a much heavier strike sometime next year. Because obviously, Trump administration was very pro-Israel, very much tougher on Iran, I would argue, than the current administration is, both in terms of sanctions and a willingness to conduct military action against Iranian targets. Not in Iran, obviously, but killing the head of the IRGC while in Iraq was certainly a message that the Iranians understood.
Guys, I'm sorry, I have to bring in the breaking 15 seconds and the Turkish is done in Iran. Wow. Okay, semifinals, judo, Olympics, Raz Hershko for Israel just won it in 15 seconds. the woman, the opponent was
And
amazing.
and there's your sign. Patrick, if there's bombers
Exactly,
in the air
that's the
for the
sign.
United, if there are bombers in the air and actively participating in the theater, can we, as Americans, as Israelis, as people in the Western civilization, understand that the calculus has changed and the dynamics now are to alleviate the situation? Because for that, bombers, American bombers, this is a very complicated, process to try and defeat any of these.
Oh yeah, Fred. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, if you see and detecting this before they do it is always hard. Though there are some aircraft tracking folks in the open source community who are quite good at it. But if we start seeing major deployments of heavy U.S. aircraft, like strategic bombers that are capable of carrying large numbers of standoff munitions that can be fired outside the range of Iranian air defense, for example. If we start seeing those kind of deployments into the Middle East, then yes, that, in my opinion, would represent a significant change in U.S. policy, either as a deterrent or a willingness to actually come in on the side of Israel and strike targets that we previously have been unwilling to go after. Yeah.
According to Israelis, in Israel, the bad strike can be very high percentage overseas, not in Israel.
Matt just said this feels like he feels like Israel might need to preemptively strike and attack Iran, and he says that because of what the IRGC general said about striking U.S. military bases over 24 hours
What
ago.
would you even strike, Stealth?
In Iran?
Yeah.
All the rocket launchers.
Yeah,
Strike the capital and all the rocket launchers.
Maybe Brian Mass told you something. Maybe while they were withholding 338 ammunition, which I can go buy online, they were delivering the type of ammunition that Netanyahu was speaking about, the type of ammunition that can actually make a difference in Iran's nuclear program. You have to be careful. He didn't just come up with this out of thin air, Brian Mass.
It's called the third level. Nobody speak about it. When they see it, and it can be too late.
You said the third level? Is that the terminology?
Yep, you don't talk about it. And Israel not stupid. We know we have so many countries with much money. So many people want to destroy us. So what do you think? They sit here and blah blah? No, they work very hard. So we ahead of everybody for let's say 10 years, I think. Yes, at least 10 years ahead. Yes, for a lot of field.
Everybody retweet the space. People are looking for my space. They can't find it. They're freaking out. Everybody wants to sit and wait in the space with us until everything goes down. It's going to be a crazy day, guys. After all this in Ramallah, they did an absentee funeral for Hania, and there was lots of people there. So thank you to Hamas Atrocities account for posting this with the video. And the narrative that Hamas is only in Gaza, as we all know, is baloney. So
I just thank God that Netanyahu is the prime minister in these moments. I feel safe. I feel secure. I know that maybe some big things are going to happen. I feel that when he's the one steering the wheel, and no one hide information from him. I'm quite sure. But by the way, just so you know, there has not been any changes in the orders of the home front command. Means whichever was before is still now, nothing new. I guess that if there was some reason to change it, they would have They never
Wait a
play
second.
with.
Did the army just release a video from Pikud Haoref regarding
Home front command. Home front command.
Okay, so they did release a video right now.
But they changed something in the instructions.
Yeah, I don't know. It's my first time watching this. I haven't watched it before. I just posted in the upward bubble. I'll send it to your DMs.
I'll see it now.
They give instruction, basic instruction, what to do in case of that or this. It's typical.
Okay.
You know Iran.
Yes. So I read it now. They just say again when there's change when the home front command is changing the readiness, the alert. For example, saying no gathering of over 500 people together. This is something that we've been through before. No gathering in this or that area. Stay 1 minute away from each other. Nothing like that was given. The only instruction that they were giving now, just like before, was make sure that you know your surrounding, that you know where is the nearest shelter, that you have, the basic, the level of readiness that we should have all the time. So again,
guys,
it should tell you something, and you can.
A report from the Times of Israel says Iran planning to launch drones at Israel from Syria as part of threatened retaliatory attack. Yeah, I knew Syria something was gonna happen with Syria, and so they'll make Grand Canyon in Syria also. What do you want me to tell you? I mean,
Even closer for parking in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, Bree.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm hearing from sources now. I hope that you will seriously consider keeping this space open for the next 24 hours.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be needed.
Oh my God. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh my God.
Well, reach out and ask for help and let people help guide you through this.
Yeah, please. Yeah, and guys, touch grass today too. Just because there's going to be a lot of if this goes dynamic, there's going to be a lot of reporting, and like we've seen before in reporting, oftentimes it can be manipulated. So give yourself a chance to kind of ensure your mental health during a time of dynamic reporting. Just because things can get really emotional very quickly. God willing, I am incorrect, and there will be no dynamic reporting. God willing.
Let me just, guys, give some breaking that we're getting right now from Southsider. It seems that the parliament of Hamas, yes, the world's parliament of Hamas and 3 other leaders inside the tunnels in Gaza. One of them is Ruhi Mashtaha and Samih Samah Asarsh. These are their names, so they are gone. We just eliminated them. So thanks to Southsiders for giving us that update. Back to you, Steph.
Okay, so if people DM me from the audience or whatever who are going to be around in case people are not available to be co-hosting with me and help me, just DM me if you want to help me, and that way I'll know who to reach out to. Thank you. Okay.
I'll have to go in some moment for Shabbat dinner, but
yeah,
we do that.
Okay.
So put your space up in the nest. For some reason I can't tweet it up there.
Okay.
Because it took me quite a while to find it.
Okay, so everybody retweet the space and send it to your groups, and then I'm going to put it in the nest, I guess. Okay, cool.
Nobody pay attention. Iran making the biggest mistake. If you ask me, this is the end of the regime of Iran. This is start. If they act by any means,
I think so too.
They give the opportunity to Israel. Don't forget, we never fought a war against country from 1973. They are the first bride to come on stage. We fought terrorism, Hezbollah, Hamas, Islamic Jihad, Houthis. No country there, even Syria next door. We do whatever we want there. They have airplanes, they have tanks, they have everything. They don't dare. So I guess they miscalculate. They think it's another war like with Saddam Hussein. They're stupid. We are limited and 750 yards. This guy got killed from the president's house. So this is double message.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian.
Thanks for that, Yair. So who goes
Brian
next?
and then Roma. Brian, Vernon,
Brian.
Roma. Go ahead, Brian.
Okay, go ahead, Brian.
Okay, thank you very much. Hey, I just want to say a word of encouragement because a lot of people are quite on edge. Israel has not lost any war yet. And there have been so many empires through history who've tried to destroy our people, have tried to destroy our country. And each of them, from the Babylonians to the Assyrians to the Ottomans to even the British Empire, all empires are now just part of history. And who are left standing? We. Only we. All of them are now part of history and are not there anymore. And when you look at how Israel came to be, even the 48 war, but also all the things that after. It's hard not to believe in a God when you see what Israel overcame and is still there. And I want to encourage you, even like Lillian, who was here before, even when you're at a long distance. Wherever you are in the world, we're still one family, one mishpacha. And wherever you are in the world, you can still pray. And wherever you are in the world, your heart can still be with the people in Israel. And yes, it's probably going to be wild if the expectations are true about the news items, the news messages that we're going to hear. But like Bree said, it's good to stay calm. Part of it is also fog of war, psychological warfare, trying to mislead your enemy, trying to confuse with conflicting reports, and even to sow unrest among the people. And I don't know what works for you, but sometimes if it gets too much, just take a moment, a news break, even if it's just for a moment, to collect yourself, to maybe even pray a little bit, or whatever works for you. And for the people in Israel, we're with you in our hearts, in our prayers. You're not alone. Even if it may feel sometimes like that, you're not alone. And Israel has gone through so many things. Also, this Israel will get through. And as for
Brian, wait, Andrea, hold on, stop. Yes,
I have a brief status. Available to come into the space if you're interested?
No, I'm good. Right now, claims of airspace closures over the countries of Cyprus, Greece, Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan are currently false. That just came out 15 minutes ago. And Musab Hassan Yusuf just said, the Atomic Warehouse and Atomic Archive, all eyes should be on this right now. He just posted that 8 minutes ago. I don't know what that's in. If he knows something, I don't know, but
there's going to be a lot of fake news, a lot of really. You should take everything that goes out with just so many exclamation marks and question marks.
Just like October 7th and afterwards, we have to ensure that we can corroborate things. Absolutely, 100%, because the crisis actors will act upon crisis.
Exactly. The chaos agents are like on 200 miles
we call it verification.
Okay. Roma, jump in, and then we'll go to Vernon and G.
Hey, I just wanted to give two quick updates or quick reminders.
for everyone. I know everyone's feeling stressed, but I want to remind you that there was a guy in the Turkish parliament, we all remember him, who cursed Israel in his parliament and immediately dropped from a heart attack and subsequently died. Hugo Chavez cursed Israel. He said, I want to condemn from the bottom of my soul, from the bottom of my guts. And he cursed Israel that way. He got cancer in his stomach. So I just want to remind everybody about that. We're all here. It's going to be okay. We're going to.
I love you, Roma. You're so cute.
Yeah, by the way, if we're talking about Turkey, so just intermezzo, Raz Hershko, our judoka,
Ariel, you're not listening to me. I gave this update in real time.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like now she started.
Really? So,
She was
yeah.
like,
I just want to say that we are waiting. Yes, amazing Ippon. So we are waiting for the final fight in which. Yes,
in half an hour,
we
yes,
will know.
final with Brazilian who just won the second semifinal.
Yes.
Which is huge actually, but I believe Raz can do it, and it will be one of two, either gold or silver. So
and good luck for both of them because we like our Brazilian friends.
Yeah, but good luck to Raz today. Okay? On you guys.
Okay. Fred, Vernon, go ahead.
So, just maybe to make us all feel a little bit better in practical terms, I want you to imagine a week before the U.S. elections, a Trump ad where you see images of us leaving Afghanistan in shambles, of money being paid to Iran, and of, God forbid, Israeli land, civilians, bases, being, burnt to a cinder. That is a death knell for the Harris Shapiro ticket. It completely blunts the selection of Shapiro as a vice presidential candidate, who I believe that is a foregone.
Vernon.
Yeah.
What did you just say, Vernon? I think you did not read the room correctly, Vernon, today.
No, what I'm saying is that
Vernon. I want you to think about what you just. You want all the Israelis and Jews in this space to imagine Israel's bases all burnt and what it would be like.
No. You have to let me finish. What I'm saying is.
I'm trying to save your life right now.
No, it's inconceivable to me that the U.S. would not act preemptively with Israel to prevent that. That's where I'm going with this. I'm saying that in political terms, it's inconceivable that the Biden-Harris administration would sit by and do nothing, knowing full well that it is going to be shoved up their rears a week or 2 weeks before the election. The claims of weakness, the valid claims of weakness against the Biden-Harris administration is something that they have to find a way out of. And not backing up Israel, not joining Israel in a preemptive strike, that completely works against them. So for that reason, I am more optimistic that the U.S. will join Israel, that the U.S. will participate, and not pessimistic. That's where I was going with this.
Okay. Vernon,
yeah.
it's like your 3-year-old pissed in the punch bowl at my birthday party. It didn't land great, but D-minus is for effort. A for what you're planning on to be. Poor guy.
Well. So here's the thing. So on the other side of the scale, imagine an ad by the Biden-Harris administration showing them actually taking action, showing them actually doing something about Iran. That works very much to their electoral benefit. So to the extent that politics plays a role in this, I think that tilts the scales in favor of U.S. help, significant U.S. help for Israel, beyond what we saw last time. That said, I still believe this is going to be much more like the last attack, though with regrettably, probably more damage. Against military targets, not civilian targets.
Bonnie defending Israel.
Okay, Vernon,
as opposed to, let me finish this. Defending Israel as opposed to eliminating a threat to everyone are completely different political statements. I don't know which one it'll be, but you have to I'm sure you understand that there's a difference. So it all depends on the messaging on how they want this to be. It's been mine and Sin's contention that they absolutely will try and elevate Harris to a authoritative posture. And the one way to do that is to show that she's strong against Americans' enemies. But that doesn't mean it's outright. We don't know.
The other problem is that I'm not sure what congressional authority is required for the United States to act in the way that they would really need to act to address the Iranian threat. Like, it's clear no congressional.
There is no congressional. I mean, clearly, honestly, like,
French tell all our citizens leave Iran immediately.
Yeah, that's been reported. That's crazy, though.
It's been.
Yes, we already reported it like a couple of hours ago.
I didn't know about that. This is change everything.
Why does it change everything?
Because usually you tell friendly country ahead of time on let you people out.
Let's say that France
did
not tell a citizen in Israel to go out, but a citizen in Iran to go out. That's it.
Okay.
We should say no more.
Michal, can you take your DMs? Could you unblock, I think, 2 accounts I'm going to send you so they can come into space? They've never met you, but you have them blocked. And they're Americans, and they're total random, like, small accounts, so it's funny to me. But just unblock them for me for now, because you're my host, okay? Okay, I'm gonna let Patrick go first, Steve, if you don't mind. Go ahead, Patrick, and then we'll go to Steve. Not you, Ariel. Ariel, you're perfect. You're fine, Ariel. Just Michal.
I'm perfect. Who can imagine that? That's a good way.
Yeah, just speaking from a U.S. perspective for a minute, Vernon, I will say you're right in that the upcoming election does change the political calculus for us. For this administration, certainly, because they are perceived as being weak on defense. Rightly so, in my view. However, what you're suggesting here cuts against so many ideological sacred cows that they hold and continue to hold. I don't know that they are willing to commit aggressive action against Iranian assets. Let me put it to you like this. We have almost 200 U.S. casualties. These are Americans, American soldiers who have been either killed or wounded. I think 183 wounded and 3 killed was the last number I saw, and that was a couple months ago. And we have not killed a single IRGC asset in response, not one. We gave local militias who were doing the Iranians' bidding plenty of time to get out of the way before we launched attacks. And we have not sunk their support ships in the Red Sea. We have not gone after, as Israel has, IRGC members operating in Syria or Iraq. They have categorically refused to respond in any way that could be perceived as direct against Iran.
Why do you think that is, Patrick? Why do you think that is?
I think it's a combination of because you have to remember, there are a lot of Obama holdovers in this administration. So these are the guys who thought that they could use Iran as a counterweight in the region for regional stability. They still buy into this. They're disastrously wrong, and they've been proven disastrously wrong every time they try it, but they still buy into this. And there's also, and this is my personal opinion, and I really want to say this, this is a purely personal view, there is a significant element of personal cowardice in this administration. They are afraid. Their ideas are bad ideas.
How does that jive? I'm not disagreeing with you, but just to help me understand a little bit better. How does that jive with successive Republican and Democratic presidents since 1978 who all have made the same failure?
Well, they haven't all made the same failure. If you remember, Reagan essentially sunk the Iranian fleet in an afternoon, and the Iranians backed off.
No, they attacked they attacked an oil platform. They didn't sink the Iranian fleet.
Oh, yes,
No,
Operation Praying
no,
Mantis?
that's incorrect,
It was
Vernon.
Operation Praying Mantis. They put a destroyer class ship at the bottom
Thank you.
of the Persian Gulf.
Yes,
They
they did.
destroyed a couple of torpedo boats. They damaged at least one corvette that I recall. The U.S. Navy went to town on these people, and they basically kicked their ass back into Iranian ports, and did so on a whim. Reagan told them, and they did.
86%.
By contrast,
Patrick, 86% of their Iranian force Reagan took out in one day, and there was no retaliation.
That's right.
Preach.
And you contrast that with the Obama administration, where we have U.S. small craft giving up to the Iranians. We have a release of sanctions that netted them billions of dollars, and then we see an uptick in Iranian proxy violence throughout the region. If that sounds familiar, you've been paying attention for the past 3 years, where we saw the Biden administration relax sanctions to the tune of, if you believe FDD's assessment, that'd be the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, tens of billions, somewhere between 20 and 40, in addition to direct payments by both us and our allies for a combination of energy and hostage releases. And we see another uptick in Iranian proxy violence throughout the region. Oh, and the radical acceleration of their nuclear program. Trying to play nice with Tehran under the Ayatollahs has never bought the United States or our regional allies anything but death, misery, and increased security threats. The only way you deal with these people is with force. It's the only language they understand. It's the only language they're ever going to understand. Maybe one day, when the Iranians have controlled their own destiny again, we can treat them like the normal nation that they used to be. But as long as these psychopaths are in charge, you have to be willing to kill them in droves.
So, Patrick, what authorities exist? What authorities exist that give the U.S. military the legal right, Iran, to prevent an attack on Israel?
The president has it, Vernon.
Great. For the president's status as the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces and his affirmative duty to safeguard U.S. interests and the lives of Americans. That's the only duty that matters. That's the only authority that matters.
Yeah, that's why we haven't had an actual declaration of war coming from our which Patrick and I could argue that being a negative. But we haven't had one since, for quite some time, is because the president has used his presidential powers. We'll say like Operation Odyssey Dawn, for example, with the Gaddafi situation is a perfect example of placing American assets on the ground, American assets in the water, in the skies, in support of activity that dethroned Gaddafi. That was not a declaration of war. We can take a look at other scenarios, even longer term, on that. Odyssey Dawn was under Obama. A president can make these decisions to go in to and again, like Patrick, I don't know. I'm of the opinion that the president should have limited powers in response in this type of thing, but absolutely Congress has to get involved in this type of situation.
I agree. Our failure to declare wars, I think, has allowed a lot of playing around on the margins and has not produced good results for us long term.
Right, and it also permits for bad actors to make a lot of money involved with that, where congressional oversight is necessary, I think, in times of
absolutely.
This and there's never been more support than there is now in Congress for doing it. I think Congress is ready to, it may not be a declaration of war, but I think they're ready to convey some similar authority. Again, I understand that you're saying one is not needed, but I think Congress may be ready to further legitimize it.
It doesn't need it.
They haven't even released the weapons yet that they promised they would release.
There's the whole thing even though it's being released and all the weapons that they haven't released. It's insane.
I also put the press release from last night, the press release of Biden's statements to Netanyahu during their phone call, and it was a disgrace. It only discussed defensive measures, and that we I put it up in the
Yeah, we
nest,
got it.
and the
okay,
purple
Jessica.
pill. I don't feel like reading it because it's just a disgrace. And last week, Vernon, I don't know if you know this, but last week the State Department reauthorized another $10 billion sanction waiver for 4 months. The money is in Omar, and they have access to last week. So you're talking about, are they going to do anything offensive? Of course not. Look at what's going on in the Red.
Yeah, the U.S. won't do offensive work in this because, again, it goes into the element of saying, is this directly connected to U.S. interests? I.e., like we're talking about in CONUS. When that, yeah, but when they follow through on their threat, then overwhelming force will likely be the response to that. But like the idea of preemptive is not within the cards, I think, of the U.S. Would you agree, Patrick?
Oh, I completely agree, Bree. And Vernon, I'll tell you this. You will find no harsher critic of the Biden administration's foreign or military policy than myself. I see a lot of my followers in here, you all know. I have not seen an administration in my lifetime, and I'm 41 years old, that has done a worse job on the world stage than they have. I would praise them to the hilt if tomorrow, after holding a closed session of Congress, the airstrikes on the Iranian nuclear program began, starting with the killing of their key scientists and then the sites themselves. And they came out and said in closed session, Congress authorized a state of limited war between the United States and Iran to destroy their nuclear capability and prevent a strategic threat to the United States. I would praise them to the hilt. And frankly, it would be the most sane thing that any U.S. administration has done in the Middle East since 2001. But they're not going to do it.
I mean, it's not going to ever happen. Sorry, I have to say. It's just, it won't.
Absolutely won't be, right. They're never going to do it. It goes against everything they believe. It goes against their personal inclination not to engage in this kind
And it shows, but Patrick, it also shows the limited nature of a lot of those in U.S. politics. Many of them, I would say vast majority, have not served in the military.
Yeah.
So they don't really have any idea. They believe in only defensive warfare because they think we just need to, I don't know, it's like a coddling of their own emotions to consider what could be considered defensive in an offensive strike. But yeah, we are going to start to see leaderships, turn over from, the baby boomer generation who haven't served into those who have served in the military. We're starting to see that happen. I think we're going to see in the next few elections, in the next 10 years, we're going to see that turnover.
I just want to say one thing. In the last 24 hours, Patrick, it's come out that Kamala Harris, National Security Director, is under fucking investigation for its involvement with Iran. He's part of that fucking spying with Robert Malley, and it's ridiculous.
So I about blew a gasket when I read that. The level of Iranian penetration of this administration should have everyone in this country appalled. It is a national security threat bar none. I can only imagine how the counterintelligence people are tearing their hair out over this.
And CCP, by the way, CCP as well.
But you're right. They're never gonna do it. And frankly, I'm glad to start seeing we're getting some GWAT veterans in Congress, thank God. But I agree. The overriding premise of most elected leadership is aggressive, decisive strikes to destroy potential threats before they actually become threats. It just doesn't enter their thinking. And it's really doing us a disservice when it comes to Iran. Because by the time that threat emerges, it's North Korea run by jihadis in the Middle East with nuclear bombs.
So
and I think it's really important to...
Patrick, to the people that would say that we're holding powder for war with China, how would you respond, and potentially Russia, how would you respond to that?
Well, and that's actually a decent argument, but in this case, I don't buy it because Iran's nuclear program, to my mind, and this is, again, personal opinion, is the sole remaining strategic threat to U.S. security in the Middle East. If you eliminate that, then you can do what a lot of people are arguing, which is pivot to Asia without having to maintain serious forces in the region to curtail regional threats. You can let regional actors like the Israelis, like the Saudis, deal with it in their own way because Iran doesn't have the bomb. Once Iran gets the bomb, it becomes immunized to an incredible degree against any retaliation. And for people who don't buy that argument, I want you to look at North Korea. Because North Korea is what you will get, but it'll be in the Middle East. It'll be run by Islamic fanatics who have a long history of supporting, encouraging, and funding Islamic martyrdom in service to killing both Jews and Americans. And that is a situation that is completely intolerable.
Well, Patrick, 2 weeks ago, Blinken. Oh, sorry.
Hold on 1 second. G needs to jump in. Hey, Matt, if you can hang out a minute, that'd be great. Just because we're gonna all pepper you. G, go ahead.
1 second. That bomb explodes next to the embassy in India.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Send me that info right now. Which embassy?
Just come from
Which embassy? U.S. embassy or Israeli embassy?
Israeli embassy.
Oh my God. Well, I said Venezuela. I did not think about India.
The message says it's near, so not in.
Okay, G, go ahead. Let me go look this up now. Shit.
Yeah, I just want to first off and start by saying I'm thinking of all my Israeli friends. I hope you guys take any preparation necessary, and please be careful. I am thinking of you. I went to my parents' place this morning before I went to work. I dropped off some things, and I talked to my parents' neighbor, who I'm not going to dox him, but he ran one part of the nuclear triad. He was the head of the Air Force for strategic deterrence and quote nuclear integration, and him and I had a fairly interesting conversation this morning, and his kind of sentiment and like his stoicism kind of comforted me, because he said that he's not extremely worried. He thinks that Israel will take steps to defend itself, and he thinks, basically through the things of our conversation, he said that there's a little bit more worry than need be, and he has faith in the defense apparatus. And I kind of, what Patrick was talking about, and Bree's talking about, Vernon's talking about, in terms of like the leftist sentiment. I posted an article of a guy named, I'm going to botch his first name, Jin Yu Wang, who is a guy that was held hostage in Iran. He tried to do his PhD dissertation there, and ultimately was in that hive mind, or that what I'll call collective consciousness, thinking that quote-unquote U.S. imperialism and our military intervention is the reason for why this group is so radical. He found out over the course of his time there that that certainly was not the case, and that a lot of Western people have the wrong point of view when it comes to this. And now that can influence a lot of members of Congress, and it certainly does, but there still is a split between the political complex and the military complex, and there might be a situation today where Biden might have his hands tied, and he's really we crossed a threshold where he actually has to take some action, because this lack of deterrence is ultimately, like a lot of people are starting to say, it's hurting him on the world stage, and in terms of the people who view as America as world peace. And we ultimately, I'm going to end this, I'm kind of distracted at the moment, but we've completely lost deterrence. We look like a joke on the world stage when we allow these actors to carry out, basically with impunity, their operations, and they're allowed to attack our assets without any pushback. And to me, that's deplorable. That's absolutely freaking deplorable. Deterrence is a matter of proving to your enemy that you are not to be effed with, and our enemies are just effing with us. And I'm not okay with the situation. I hope other Americans are not okay with the situation. But again, I talked to a guy this morning who used to run part of the nuclear triad, used to be on the National Security Council, He used to work right out of the Pentagon, and he seems to have a lot of faith in Israel.
Thanks, G. Patrick, I don't know if you want to respond, but and Mark, yeah.
Just very briefly. G, I agree with the last part of what you said, but the first part, I will tell you, I don't think anything short of an attack that produces significant U.S. casualties will prompt the Biden administration into serious action. And their track record over the past basically 8 months since 10/7 is the reason I say that. If we saw something like the USS Cole, a U.S. warship taking a serious hit that resulted in casualties, you might see it. And to Vernon's point, this is partially because the election is coming up. If it wasn't, they'd probably try to paper that over. If you saw, say, the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad take a direct hit for whatever reason, either it was saturation or they just got a lucky shot through, and you saw significant U.S. State Department casualties and probably military as well there, or another outpost in the region, you're going to have to see a significant number of Americans die before it moves the needle for this administration. And I'll let people make their own judgments based on that fact as they will. But keep in mind,
God forbid it.
God forbid.
God forbid it.
We lost 3 guys in Jordan. And everyone's focusing on the Biden administration's screw up in Afghanistan with the recent election, but everyone forgets we lost 3 U.S. Army soldiers in Jordan, and it was, we shot a few missiles into the Syrian and Iraqi desert, and then we just kind of forgot about that. But we have 3 American KIAs, and nobody really seems to care. It was, it happened. We'll make a show of responding, and then we'll just kind of forget about it. It's going to take something serious, and as Bruce says, God forbid, but I don't think anything else moves the needle for this administration, because mentally, they're just not, they refuse to accept that you have to deal with the Iranians by force. And there's a whole lot of reasons for that. I addressed a few of them earlier, but that's where they are.
Thanks. Thank you, Patrick. Such important points.
Yes, but Patrick, yes, but since we are always speaking about these kind of issues and about this retaliation that needs to be done, and all of the time we're getting, backlashes from the Biden administration, like the fact that we are saying that American blood is not coming cheap. What are you doing? Allowing them to kill American soldiers and not retaliate to that? And they are looking at us like we are crazy.
It's insane.
Like all of these.
But now we have 2,500 Marines right off the sea here.
Yes, and we are fighting. We are fighting. Why exactly do we need to do all kinds of special maneuvers to retaliate, instead of retaliate and say to them in the face, we retaliate for that American soldier that you did something to him? Why? Why are we supposed to be so apologetic and pushing with
the Americans could have taken out Shukar, who killed 263 Marines since the 80s, I'm assuming some time ago. The Israelis did it, and fucking Biden didn't even mention it. It's been over 24 hours that he didn't mention the American Marines that were killed in the 80s. And funny enough, Michal found it, and so did Digitali, which is the other girl who was here earlier. The video just recently of Netanyahu in Congress talking about the U.S. Marines. It was obviously foreshadowing, because they had planned to take out the guy, the number 1 next to Nasrallah in Hezbollah's. They took him out, and he's the one who coordinated and planned that attack. So it is what it is.
No, maybe no, it's not. It is what it is.
Breaking observation.
Wait. The issue goes like this. It's not like Monopoly that you just put soldiers over there. This is bad management. This is what I'm saying. The bad management where the Democratic Party is in control. Why? Because they are just putting the soldiers over there. Those soldiers need to be active in getting orders to kill on site. If they see somebody that they're attacking them, if somebody is attacking American soldiers, they need to respond. They don't need to wait until Mr. Biden will be I don't know, maybe he needs special attention or something like that until he will be wake up. No. If you have any kind of problem, American soldiers need to shoot immediately. Not wait so Mr. Biden will give them the permission to do something. For what?
Okay, a couple of things just came out. I want to hear from Matt, but it says that Iran plans on attacking on Tisha B'Av. Western intelligence sources have informed Sky News Arabia that they have evidence of Iran's plans to attack Israel on Tisha B'Av in response to the assassination of Hania. Begins on August 12th and ends on August 13th, according to a report published on Friday. Take this report with a grain of salt. So I don't know. This is another data point. As far as we know, it's happening tonight and tomorrow. So, Matt, what are your thoughts on what's going on? You got UK force, you got UK, and you've got US and Italian Air Force, and all sorts of interesting things going on. What are your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, it's scary. I was just messaging with somebody who claims to have contacts with somebody higher up in the IRGC, basically like an intel leak from the IRGC, saying that they plan on launching upwards of 2,000 to 3,000 cruise missiles, rockets, drones, and that's just insane, you know, and we do know that Iran's going to have a much larger response going towards Israel. And my question really is, why is Israel waiting, right? Like, in my opinion, Israel...
So they called an emergency meeting 2 hours ago, Netanyahu's with all the defense ministers, as far as we know. So we don't know what's been the response since that meeting.
But I also know that there's lots and lots of ISR likely over top of Iran, and so does the United States government, and we're likely sharing that intelligence. So there's no excuse, you know, once weapons start to be moved in and about Iran, for us not to actually start preemptively striking. You know, Iran put on 1,400 new centrifuges last month, and the IAEA confirmed it. Iran wasn't hiding it. It's real. It's a very real threat. It's a very real possibility. And, you know, a lot of people are forgetting about the Houthis and Russia's and Putin's threat to arm them. So these are very real threats. These are very real possibilities that could be going up.
Yes, but take into account, Matt, that when the last time that we got shot by 400, 500 UAVs and all that, what was shot at us, together with all kinds of ballistic missiles and such. And Mr. Biden called us and said to us, if Israel will retaliate after this attack or through this attack, I'm out. That's the two words that we heard from Biden. I'm out.
Okay, so I have another
I'm out, you know.
I've got a semi-breaking update on that.
What's up,
Okay, OSN Defender has posted that a U.S. defense official has stated, and I won't read the whole thing because it's too long, that American forces in the Middle East are taking necessary measures, ... to assist with defensive and offensive operations currently underway. Keyword being offensive.
Right. And
let's see how much offensive it will.
Look, here's the thing. Netanyahu is not going to give two shits what Biden has to say right now, because it's his country and it's his people that are at stake. He listened to Biden, unfortunately, in my opinion, when it came down to the invasion of Rafah and taking care of Rafah, and that unfortunately caused a lot of people their lives. And I don't think he's going to make that same mistake when we have a ginormous amount of civilian lives that are currently at stake. I mean, it's quite literally the entire country. Haifa is under threat. You know, Tel Aviv's under threat. Like, pretty much every civilian population in Israel is under threat. And if you sit back and you wait for something to happen, it's not going to end well. You know, the big difference between this time versus last is the amount of munitions that are easily predictable that Iran is going to fire towards Israel. The span of time in which they unleash those weapons is going to determine their effectiveness. And there is no amount, in my opinion, of aircraft, depending on how many munitions Iran launches at a single time, of aircraft that are going to be able to properly defend Israeli skies. You know, last time we saw a large wave of drones that were easily shot down, followed by, you know, cruise and ballistic missiles. However, should there be a very, very large volume of fire that ends up coming at one time, I highly doubt we're going to be capable of knocking all those munitions down, which means inevitably
Matt,
some of
it sounds like new tech is going to be shown tonight. So I just want everybody to prep themselves.
I'm so excited.
There's going to be new stuff. There's going to be new stuff pulled out of our jump drawer.
The Barak? The Barak?
The what?
The Barak.
What are you talking about?
I'll send you the video.
Okay.
We don't know. They're actually.
We don't know what it is, but.
Right, there's no leaks, and good for Israel.
Yeah, but it seems like there's going to be some new stuff to help with all this. I don't know.
Berlin, in reference to Defender, they have been inconsistent, they've been inaccurate, have been following for almost a year.
Yeah.
They are Kamala Harris supporters, and they are fitting the narrative.
Yes, they are. They're super lefties.
And you will not find anywhere, because I saw that tweet earlier, you cannot find anybody that's saying that America is going to take an offensive position. Today we read that in the New York Times that U.S. is going to send some more fighter jets, but it's for protecting the U.S. troops and the bases, not for Israel, but to protect their I've been up all night.
Janice, get some rest, because it's going to be a long night. It's okay. Don't worry about it. They're trying to get people out of Lebanon. And they're trying to get. Wait, Patrick's hands up and that.
Breaking.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that guy, the Mufti, the one that imam that was spreading hate speech in Jerusalem.
Arrested, yeah.
Yeah, Akram Sabri. So Mr. Sabri is right now going to the jail. He will spend his time. I don't know when he's going to get out.
Okay, that is okay. Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, very briefly. Matt, your concern about a saturation attack is well-founded. And I'll add this to it. The nightmare scenario is that we see that type of mass launch from Iran either all at once or in quick succession, coupled with a significant barrage from Hezbollah against northern Israeli targets. In that case, you would see Iron Dome get overwhelmed simply because they don't have enough launchers to shoot all that down. And frankly, neither the U.S. nor allied aircraft are in the region in sufficient numbers to knock all of that down either. They could probably get a significant percentage, but some of that's getting through. And if it were targeted on, say, a population center instead of a military target, there is the potential for a mass casualty event. So yeah, I think that's a well-founded worry, frankly, at this point.
Matt, jump in.
Yeah, it is a very serious threat, and the Israeli defense actually did a very decent job last time of mitigating a lot of those coming in. I know a lot of the GPS jammers and all of that crap worked very, very well in order to avoid successful strikes. They did have a couple that came close, but when your target is not a precision target and it's something like an actual city that they're sending these munitions into, there is you throw a dart enough times, they are bound to hit the bullseye, and if they throw enough, they're going to hit one. And it's just one of them is going to cause a mass casualty event. So I think it would be in Israel and the United States' best interest to preemptively launch an attack. But that opens up, an entire regional conflict at that point, because we do have U.S. forces that are stationed abroad over inside of Syria, over inside of Iraq, over inside of Jordan. And those forces are going to be under attack the moment we launch one. And like the gentleman was saying earlier, we lost 3 U.S. troops inside of Jordan. The other day, al-Assad got attacked again over inside of Iraq. Last year, when al-Assad got attacked, we had a U.S. contractor that ended up dying. It was from a heart attack, but there was also 30 or 40 TBI incidents that took place. So the amount of fire that's going to take place, but I don't think it's just going to be the militias, or the local jihadist groups that are over there targeting U.S. forces. I think we're likely to see Iran directly engaging U.S. military bases as well, just like they did, was it last year that they went after the consulate up in Erbil?
Yeah. Yeah, Matt. If I rotate people down, my military people are all staying up on stage until they want to leave. Essentially, I won't move those people. But if I do, I'll just rotate you. I'll bring you right back up, just so that some people can make some statements. G, I know you have a response, and then Brian.
Yeah, I'll be quick because Brian was actually before me, and I like hearing Brian talk. But I kind of want to talk to the point of what Patrick responded and kind of what Matt was talking about. There are more complex dynamics, political dynamics, than people are at least thinking about on the base layer here. There's kind of push and pull. There's two parties, interested parties that you have Biden and you have Netanyahu, who will not necessarily equally, but will have not how should I phrase this? Different reactions from their public in case of bad scenarios. So let's say, hypothetical, God forbid, Iran decides to strike a civilian target and they are successful. Well, there will be a lot of blame put on Biden, and that will not help Harris for the election. It will exacerbate not necessarily the narratives, but the situation and our positions and our feelings of what that